Assalamu alaikum. This is where we stopped in the last class. So we were talking about the ambitions of stylistics, right? So what the stylisticians propose to do, they intend to provide hard data or based on linguistic approaches or the linguistic features to prove existing hunches or impressions about a text, or they try to provide new interpretations for a literary text which already might have had plenty of other interpretations, right? And apart from that, they also try to attempt a general impression of the text based on the grammatical structure or the imagery or the poetic devices, or other factors that contribute to the choice of words and all those things. Okay, so these are the main ambitions with the statistician. So, and we also talked about a couple of books that are sort of form the foundational, foundational texts for stylistics, right? To understand stylistics, to just get a brief understanding of stylistics, and yes, we've done this. Now, coming to the examples on stylistics, we'll see some of the linguistic approaches that Peter Barry seems to point out, and the relevance of those approaches, those features in a text, and how they seem to give you various interpretations of a text, right? So, to begin with, we are going to talk about transitivity. In your grammar classes, you must have heard of transitive verbs. You must have learned about transitive verbs and transitive and intransitive verbs, and you must have done plenty of exercises based on those. Basically, just as a reminder, basically, a transitive sentence would be that which has an object. Okay, and an intransitive verb would be that which does not have an object. It's as simple as that. Okay, no lengthy explanations required. Transitive verbs do have an object, whereas an intransitive verb does not have an object. For instance, say she threw the ball. All right, she threw the ball. Now, she would be the subject, through would be the verb, and the ball would be the object, right? So, what happens if you remove the object? Okay, what if the verb through does not have an object to it? Remove the ball, what would be remaining there? What would be left there? Would be merely she threw. She threw. Now, when you say she threw, what does it imply? It could be just about anything, right? It could be she has thrown probably her papers, her books, or probably she threw up her head, or she threw her hand, or she probably, threw some abusive words, or, it could be just about anything, right? So the transitivity, that is the sentence patterns in which verbs can occur, would be transitivity. Okay, so what happens is, in a transitive verb, action has a goal or a recipient or an object. There is a passing through, that is, it is in a transitory stage, as in movement, in moving. All right, passing through. She shut the door. So the shut, the action shut has a recipient, the door. All right, whereas in an intransitive sentence, an action alone exists without a goal or a recipient or an object. She vanished. Where did she vanish? The question arises, right? So it is an intransitive sentence that does not have an object to it, right? The action does not have a goal or a recipient. Now, Halliday and Fowler, in analyzing fiction, they used this particular aspect of linguistic aspect in analyzing novels, and for that purpose they used the uh, one sec. Well, we'll come to that a little later after I have explained the meaning of under Lexicalization. Now, another aspect you need to remember, at least Peter Barry tells you to, as he gives you as an example, is under lexicalization. Again, it's a very specialized term that could be understood only by a linguist or a stylist, right? But here, simply put, it means lack of adequate set of words to express specific concepts. All right? Lack of adequate set of words to express specific concepts, in the sense of, for instance, I ask you to bring something, right? Now, what this something is a question mark. So you'd ask what exactly it is that you're asking for, right? And I would say that the thing that you use to um, that you use for children, that you use to um, put in their mouth when they are crying and you don't have any food to give them, right? You don't have milk to give the baby, or you just want the baby to shut up for a while and you put it in its mouth, right? So if I did not know the exact meaning of the word, I would use other words, multiple terms to signify a certain word, right? Basically, what I was talking about was a pacifier. Pacifier, that which you stick in the child's mouth or baby's mouth when the baby is crying, because if it's if it's just irritated or frustrated, right? If it's just throwing a tantrum, you just stick it into the baby's mouth and it'll shut up automatically, sucking on it, right? So instead of just using one single word, I use multiple words uh, to signify what I'm talking about. So it is the lack of adequate set of words to express specific concepts. So see, we do use this kind of thing. We do use under lexicalization a lot, right? Or probably not use, but we do practice this thing quite a bit, right? See, I am at a loss of words, and I am using all sorts of substitutes to indicate my this practice of using under lexicalization. So, the thingy stuff, what's it, what's a stuff? Oh, I was busy with some stuff. And what exactly does this stuff denote? Probably some work or probably some play, whatever it is. If I do not wish to indicate it, or if we do not wish to completely spell it out to someone, we just simply use the word stuff. What's it? That, do you know what's it isn't? What did you bring it? What's it? You know, people replace this word what's it to indicate many other things, different things. Again, thingy, that thingy that you put it in your ear. No, it could be an earbud, or it could be an earring, or it could be a headphone. It could be just about anything. But in the context, these words would actually make some sense. All right, they have to make sense. At the same time, they are meager substitute for specialized terms. Specialized terms is not exactly technical specialized terms, but something that could fill in the gap. Okay, that doesn't make you think too much about a certain things, right? So this is under lexicalization, again a linguistic aspect. Now applying these to Halliday and Fowler, that is, we were talking about Roger Fowler earlier. Remember, Halliday and Fowler, they try to bring in this concept. Yeah. I don't know how far this is going to be audible to you, because I'm not using my headphone. I probably missed it somewhere or lost it somewhere. I don't have it with me and I couldn't borrow it from anyone. I'm just going as it is. So they use it in this Faulkner's work called The Sound and the Fury. I believe you must have read it at some point. It's divided into specialized chapters wherein each character seems to tell their own narrative. Therein the narrative remains the same, but the way it is projected is different. So you get different perspectives. Now here there is this one sphere, one perspective wherein we get to see Benji. Now Benjamin is a 33-year-old person who is special. Special as in earlier we used to make use of the word retarded, but we are not supposed to use it anymore. No, so we're not. So we'll just leave it alone. So this is the narrative of another person, another character, wherein we get to see Benji, and this Benji, from Benji's perspective. So this Benji, he is a 33-year-old man with an underdeveloped mind, with the mind of a child, you could call it that, okay? So he has an underdeveloped mind, and he is incapable of stringing words together, or is incapable of, even though he is capable of to some extent, saying things as they are, as he understands. All right, and children do that, right? If you ask them, like say for instance, some children lisp, and when they try to tell you something and you don't understand, they try to tell you the same thing in different ways, so that finally you understand their meaning, their intent, right? Like I believe you get my point. Many of you do have children at home. You know how they behave, right? So see, from a child's perspective, he would tell you exactly what it is in his own way, in his own terms. He wouldn't use any term that an adult actually knows very well, he is accustomed to, right? So, there is an oddity in transitivity that is seen in Benji's perspective. Okay, there are no transitive verbs with object. Okay, transitive verbs, as in, like, no verb that has any, even though the verb is transitive, it has to have an object. It does not have it here. There is an oddity in transitivity that is featured in Wagner's writing, especially where Benji is concerned. uh, I believe I have an example here. So I don't really think I have it here. One sec. I'll just get the text for you so that you understand it better. Okay, I got it. Now look at this. Um, the critic uses these terms in discussing the opening of William Faulkner's novel, The Sound and the Fury, in the essay by Roger Fowler from the collection Essays on Style and Language, 1966, already referred to. The opening is narrated from the point of view of Benji, who is a 33-year-old man with the mind of a young child. Now, Benji is watching a game of golf. Okay, now through the fence between, now these are the sentence, as you can see, from Benji's perspective. Please remember that the narrator, the narrative voice is that of the Benji. Okay, through the fence between the curling flower spaces, I could see them hitting. Through the fence between the curling flower spaces. Now one may wonder what curling flower spaces are, right? Curling flower spaces, please keep this in mind. I could see them hitting. Hitting as in, what exactly are they hitting? Don't you think about it? Won't you wonder about it? They were coming towards where the flag was, and I went along the fence. Who were coming towards the flag? And where did he go? I went along the fence. And why would he want to go along the fence? Luster was hunting in the grass by the flower tree. Flower tree. Well, there are trees that flower. But have you actually heard of any tree that is mentioned by that name, a flower tree? Luster was hunting in the grass. What exactly is Luster hunting, and who is Luster? Questions, questions, questions. You get so many questions. They took the flag out and they were hitting. They took the flag out. Who took the flag out and for what purpose? And they were hitting. What does it mean that they are hitting? Then they put the flag back and they went to the table, and he hit and the other hit. Don't you think it's sort of reeks of some violence? As in, he hit, they were taking out flag from somewhere, and once they have hit, and once again they are hitting something and someone, or probably something, because there is no object to this verb, right? Hitting is mentioned, but what exactly are they hitting? From a Benji's perspective, they are all playing a hitting game, and if you were to add in the fill in the gaps, you would actually realize that they are playing golf. Right, they are playing golf. There is no mention of ball anywhere, and the flags are indicative of course, a golf field where there are markers placed wherever someone has hit a ball, or where the ball is supposed to reach, right? Don't you think it is inadequate? There is an insufficiency, there is a lack, an inadequacy of vocabulary here. that could bring in the meaning completely, that could drive home the meaning completely. Now it's a great technique as used by Faulkner. Yeah, because he probably must have observed someone with probably that mental uh, inability to project specific terms, to use specific terms, to explain themselves, right? Like, or proficiency in a language, or not exactly proficiency. That's not a really right word, but the inadequacy of language is aptly presented in these sentences. So this sentence would these dialogues, this description, not dialogues, this description would actually show you the Benji's state of mind to some extent. To some extent, yes. You realize that this person is incapable of speaking of a shrub, calling a shrub, right? Instead of that, he calls it curling flower trees. Curling flower trees of shrubs, I believe. I don't know. Is there anything else that curls and flowers at the same time? Maybe there are, right? And see, luster. We don't know who luster is. Is it a dog? Most probably yes, because it is hunting in the grass by the flower tree. So only dogs could do that, right? Or what else could it be? So the use of underlexicalization and the use of underlexicalization is at play here, right? He is making use of different words, several words to mean one thing. And there is an oddity in transitivity here, because you're told that they are hitting, but you're never told what they are hitting, right? The object is absent there, right? So the verb hitting has to have an object. It is a transitive verb, but it has no object. So there is a kind of oddity in transitivity. I hope you get my meaning. So these are the kind of things that the stylistician actually observes, uses linguistic aspects, linguistic features, grammatical structures, imagery, word choice, all of these to observe or to analyze a certain work, whether it be fiction or poetry or whatever. And based on it, they tell you that a certain effect is created in the reader's mind as to how Benji sees the world, how he looks at the world. His perspective is aptly conveyed to the reader. All right? Okay. So continuing with our presentation with my own PPT, I would like to continue with this interpretations. First of all, the first interpretation is that Benji has little sense of action. And there, I mean, it's supposed to be there, THEIR. There's a spelling error. Excuse me. Benji has little sense of action and their effects on objects. The linguistic features are disturbed to indicate that the mind itself is disturbed. All right, the linguistic features are disturbed so as to show that the mind of the person who is narrating it is disturbed as well. We're not talking about the author here, we're talking about the narrator. Please bear that in mind. Okay, the author is Faulkner, William Faulkner, but the narrator is Benji. And whereas Faulkner is quite adept at using language, Benji unfortunately is not so. All right, so this linguistic features, these linguistic aspects are approached in such a manner that the text is approached in such a manner that these linguistic aspects are shown to create a certain effect. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call. I have